I mean, I saw tickets on the secondhand market, which you're not supposed to do, going for like 20 grand a pair on Sunday. Yikes. But you know what? People pay that. People will pay that. I'm getting to this point in my life where I'm not like really surprised anymore by how dumb people are. Have you gotten there yet? You know, where like people just do something that's just so outlandish, um, and it just doesn't phase you anymore. Like that's how I feel, and I think I'm like that for a few reasons. One is because I'm starting to just see myself do really dumb things all the time, and I'm still me, capable of dumb stuff. So is everybody else. And then the other one is just because there's just too many people. I think that's what it is. There's just too many people. So because there's too many people, by nature, the ratios remain true, which they always do. That means there's just a lot of dumb people. Okay. I might be one of them. I know this because I was just at the nail salon. Y'all ever been to a nail salon? Whoa. And I was roped into getting a what is it called? Pedicure. Sit there with a little bucket of water and they scrub your feet. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, I was sitting there and I was roped into going with my wife. Just I didn't choose to go. It was actually nice. I kind of liked it. I would recommend it actually. But I went there and so we were sitting there and we had like a wait or whatever. And I was like, I need to go to the bathroom. So I walked to the back of the store and there was a sign. Well, there was like a place that looked like it should be a bathroom, like logically. Like, you know, when you go to the corner of any one of these strip mall places, there's a place where like logically the bathroom would be. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. If you were there, you'd get it. Anyway, I saw one of those rooms and I like went around the corner and I saw it and I went, oh, that looks like a bathroom. There was a sink outside of it. And then there was a sign on the door that said employees only. And I went, no, but it looks like a bathroom. So I just like opened the door. And then the lady in there was like, bathroom's that way. I was like, oh yeah, duh. And then I went to the bathroom and I was thinking, like, I just did that. You know, like there was a sign that said employees only and I just opened it, just kind of assuming that it was the bathroom. And I kind of halfway expected it to be the bathroom. Like I kind of halfway expected something to be something that it clearly was not because it was labeled not the bathroom. But I thought it was going to be the bathroom because I just am that dumb. Like when you do stuff that you're just not like it's not in your domain, you look pretty stupid. I saw somebody talking about Joe Rogan. I guess he's under heat now. I mean, he's always under heat, but somebody was talking about how like the people that he gets on there aren't experts. And they were explaining like, no, like you got to understand his podcast is like if you had somebody who like just got into karate and they're really good at karate. And they're like, you know, they got the karate bug and all of a sudden they get their, I don't know, what do you get? Like a white belt or something? Let's see, white belt, karate. Yeah. Signifies the starting point. Okay. They just got their white belt, but they're like really into it. So they know a lot, or at least they think they know a lot. And like he's, you know, giving a platform to these guys who have a white belt, talking like they have a black belt. And like nobody knows anything about all this stuff. Like nobody knows anything about most stuff. Okay. Can I just say that? And they're coming on his show, you know, but they're really a white belt in whatever field. And they're talking about it like they got a black belt. And everybody just believes them. Everybody just believes them because they have no idea what they're talking about. It's true. That was the one thing I remember from The Catcher in the Rye. Did you read that book? There's a part where Holden Caulfield says, the best way to talk to smart people, make yourself seem really smart, is just say stuff that nobody understands. If nobody understands what you're talking about, then nobody's ever going to question you. Should have read that book. You probably didn't. I did. Sometimes I look at the YouTube comments, like you guys would be surprised. Maybe you wouldn't be. There's some stupid comments. I was talking about the stock market, I guess, last week, 2 weeks ago, and how the stock market goes down. The stock market went down. Rich people lost some money. Okay, whatever. And this dude, I just want to read this. It's so funny. Said, have you ever considered the fact when stocks plummet, the response of capital owners is not to take a hit to their wealth? They will cut costs, increase prices, and underpay their workforce by any means to maintain that year-over-year growth. I agree with your analysis, but I believe your conclusion leaves out the most important factor, capitalism. And, whoa. So, buddy, you just said they're going to cut costs and increase prices. Why? Because the stock went down. You know what a stock going down means? It means they weren't selling as much. They weren't making as much. They're not going to make as much. So all of a sudden, let me pull these levers, cutting costs and increasing prices, and that's going to create more sales. There's a very basic function. I didn't even take a business class ever once. Very basic function. It's called supply and demand. If you increase your prices, that will decrease supply. I'm not smart, but I know that. Okay. I believe your conclusion leaves out the most important factor, capitalism. I think that people just say capitalism. Like they just say capitalism and what they really think is greed. Like they think that like it's this blanket word that you can just throw into any discussion about something that you don't like or something that costs too much. You can say capitalism. Like, oh yeah, I'm not supposed to question that. I'm not supposed to say anything to that in response because I said the word capitalism in public. Therefore, everybody on the other side of that must be evil. Like I've gotten to this point in life, honestly, where if I need something done, I don't know, a home service would be like the classic example of stuff that I need done that I don't want to do. Like I actually like legitimately, it's so bad. I'm going to say this in public, but there's only 8 people who are going to hear this. So I don't like to cut my lawn. I don't. So I pay somebody else to do it. And I got it quoted and then there was a price. And old me a while ago would have said, well, dang, that price is just too much. I guess I'll just buckle up and cut my lawn. And then new me, like my new vibe is somebody quotes this price and I go, damn, that's kind of high. And then I think about doing it, I'm like, I don't want to do it. I'll just pay it. And then I go, damn, those guys are good. They know. And I'm like kind of like in a weird way, almost kind of sort of proud of them because they can charge this price that I don't really want to pay. But the reality is I'm going to pay it because I need it. And they somehow figured out that perfect point of like, that kind of sucks, but like, I'm going to pay it anyway. And if you can figure out how to price your business like that, damn, I don't go like, damn, capitalism. Wow, these greedy bastards. I go, wow, they really figured out. I'm like kind of jealous. I'm kind of like, that's cool. Nice. You know, every time I pay too much for something, I go, they're doing something right. $18 margaritas, doing something right. Because people are freaking buying it. Here's the reality. The market is like capitalism, the market, whatever, the market. The market, which by the way, I would define the market, okay, as like anything that is traded or sold or bought. Okay. A restaurant being on the block for 20 years is proof that the market exists. Why? Because they figured out how to price their goods in such a way that people would buy them consistently for a little bit more than they cost. And people were happy to do that. I think I've said this before, right? Like the definition of a good transaction, a pure capitalist transaction. If I go to the grocery store and I buy a bottle of Coke for $1, I am happy to pay $1 for that because I get a bottle of Coke, which is something that I wanted. Grocery store is happy to take that $1 because they made more than they spent on that. That is the perfect transaction right there. And in theory, that's how every transaction is going to be. And in theory, the market, the universe of things that are bought and sold, goods and services, is always perfectly efficient. Because if something doesn't exist in a town, if there's a service that doesn't exist in a town, that means there's not enough demand for it. And eventually, if there's enough demand for it, it will exist. It will exist. There are companies, I'm just learning this, where you can go out and you can just rent monitors. You can rent a monitor. I can travel with my computer and then rent a monitor. Somebody will bring it to my hotel room. Do you know how much that service costs? You should look it up. It's very expensive. But how practical would it be for me to fly with a monitor? And depending on what I'm doing with that monitor, it might be very valuable for me to have that monitor when I'm traveling. Guess what? That service doesn't exist everywhere. But you know what? It exists in places where there's demand for it. You know how I know? You can look it up. You can look it up. And that is really interesting to me. Because would I like to rent this monitor for $200 a day? No. But do I need to? Yes. Sometimes, maybe. Is it worth it? Well, kind of. It is. If I'm doing something that really matters, yeah, it is. It's really interesting to see which services exist in certain places and the creep of capitalism, if you will. One place that doesn't have capitalism? No, that's not true. One place that has really, really, really done a very conscious job of keeping the whole place without corporate creep, if you will. How about the Masters? Did y'all see this last week? Whoa, that was crazy. Pretty compelling stuff if you like to watch golf. But what I think is way crazier, way more impressive, I think, in like a day and age like today, you look at a place like Augusta National, which owns the rights to this Masters, right? No corporate tents, no corporate signage. There's not a brand presenting the Masters. It's not the Masters presented by, it's just the Masters tournament, right? There's like 3 sponsors on TV when you watch them. Everything like there costs very little. You know why? Because they're trying to make a brand have enterprise value. Do you know how many people watched the Masters this year? How many people watched the Masters in 2025? 12.7 million viewers. Peak viewership during the final round was 19.5. That is a lot. It's a lot more than most things. How many of those people at some point in time are going to spend money on the Masters? A lot of them, actually. You'd be surprised. Maybe you would. I don't know. But a lot of them will. Do you know how much money they sold like per day at their merch tents? It's kind of like a meme. I saw a meme how much money the Masters was selling. Let's see, $10 million a day, $1 million an hour. It's 2023. Yeah, close enough. Let's just say that's true. $10 million a day, 7 days. $70 million bucks. Pays for a lot of stuff. It's just merch. I mean, I saw tickets on the secondhand market, which you're not supposed to do, going for like 20 grand a pair on Sunday. Yikes. It's a lot of money. But you know what? People pay that. People will pay that. And the market is always true, right? It is always correct. They always say, I think ticket pricing is a really like interesting thing to watch, because like most of the time, if you have a festival, for instance, right, they're going to release the lineup, so many months in advance, and they'll release the tickets so many months in advance. And a lot of times, they're professionally guessing what they should price these tickets at, right? We just had Coachella. $600 for a general admission ticket for the week. There was a stat going around that most of those tickets were bought on loans, which is crazy, but people do that. Okay. Most of those tickets were bought on loans. Now, the reality is, do you know the perfect time for a concert to sell out, or one of these festivals or sporting event or anything? When is the perfect time for an event to sell out? The perfect time for something to sell out is 1 minute before the gates open. That's how you know you hit the price perfect. If you price it too high, it's not going to sell out. You're going to have a half-empty venue or whatever, and you're not going to maximize revenue. If you price it too low, it's going to sell out immediately. That's not good. for promoters. They don't want that to happen, because if it sells out immediately, that means there was way more demand at that price level than they anticipated. And the reality is, in many cases, most of the time, people are going to capitalize on that, on the actual market value in the secondary market. Now, sometimes they get it wrong, and there's these speculators, and the industry's kind of messed up, and there's these professional ticket buyers, and yada yada yada. But at the end of the day, in a perfect world, any ticket promoter, any event promoter wants to sell out right before the gates open. Now, practically speaking, that makes it a little bit difficult for planning, because you don't have all the revenue up front. So there's some functional considerations there. But if the market was absolutely efficient, if it was perfectly efficient, and you knew how to price something, it would sell out right before. Right before. Anyway, that was something I had in my mind, on my brain today. Let's see, what else? How are you guys? Can't talk back to me, so you just get to listen. Can you believe people took out loans to go to Coachella? Like, that's wild. I guess that, like, we were just so, like, I don't know. I always think, oh, you get a loan for like an asset that's going up in value, and maybe like there's some value in having the experience, paying for it after. And I'm a different person now because I went, and that's an asset to me. Maybe that's the logic. People can rationalize spending money on anything with emotion. Watch out. Insane. Okay. Well, that might be it for today. Let's see what's on YouTube. Asking Texas billionaires how they got rich. I made $800 million in a day. I don't think that's true. Just looking at YouTube now. You guys probably have your own version of YouTube, and it probably has different things on it than mine. I tried to build an app the other day. You can get these like AI coding tools. It's crazy. I don't know how to build anything. And you just type in like, make me this thing. Maybe I'll like build a website with it. So stupid. I don't know how this stuff really works, but you can literally like make an app and it just codes it in like 10 minutes. It's wild. You got to prompt it a lot though. I don't really know what to say because I don't even know it's possible. Because I'm stupid. That's why I don't know what to say, because I'm stupid. I don't know anything about coding. I don't know anything about most stuff. Here we are. Okay. It's baseball season. Pitch clock. Whatever. Go watch some baseball. See you guys next time. All right.